Alright, here's the video review for Studio Series 86 Leader Class Grimlock with quote-unquote wheelie. It is wheelie technically, but it's not. It's not a transformer. It's just a little robot figure. We'll talk about that. But first, a couple of quick updates. People mentioned that this little white tab under the hood on Jazz does in fact connect to the silver piece, which I thought was the case. It's just now that I've got the trick to it, I'm getting it lined up all the time, but I was just having a hard time getting it to line up properly, and thought maybe I was just misreading something. But no, it does, in fact, tab on there and keep the head from falling down. That's great. Some people also pointed out that there's some tabs on his knees, and there are, that plug into the front to hold these together. And, I'm aware of those. Mine just don't hold very well. You can hear it clicking, out of there. When I pull, I see what you're talking about. I can push them in there, and if I really push them in hard, they'll hang around for a little bit, but it doesn't take a lot of effort. You see there, it's all the way in, and it doesn't take much force for them to just bending the knee just pops them right off. They'll stay together if I'm careful, but there's really very little force involved in popping them out of there. So just FYI, it's not that I wasn't aware of them, it's just they don't stay. So that may be my copy versus your copy. If yours are locking in great, I'm happy for you. That's good. And it doesn't bother me. He stands just fine without them staying locked in place, but they do pop out very easily. But this was correct, and I needed to fix that. So thank you for everybody who pointed that out to me. Also, I did get the batteries for Fans Hobbies Naval Commander for the eyes. And you'll see I still have the red plastic eyes in here because you do get a clear set you can swap out that are just totally transparent, but I think these painted red eyes just look really nice on the shelf without having to run down your LEDs. They reflect a lot of light, and they look really nice. And what's great is there's a little button on his head with the batteries in. You can see the eyes still light up just fine without having to put the clear... the light may be a little brighter, but I like the fact that they can glow red or stay shiny red, and I don't have to feel like I need to swap in the clear eyes just to use the battery light up feature. So that's super cool. But there you go. It's just a little button on his head. You put two AG0, very tiny button cell batteries, in his head, and a little clicker button there on top of his skull. This little round button right here turns those red eyes on and off. And with the updates done, let's come on back here to Grimlock and Wheelie. Now, it took me a while, but the instructions just kind of show how he just set him on here. And that's not exactly how this works. One, these back claws come up a little bit. So whenever I move them around, I always try to make sure I've got those rear claws flat, because if they come up a little bit, he does, without his tail resting down, he's very back heavy. It's hard to get him to stand, even with the bent legs. And then they do unclip here. So you can, and ratchet there. You can get him in this position, and he stands just fine when his tail's supporting him. But anything past that, just his tail is so damn heavy until you get to about halfway up here, and then he can stand, kind of support himself again. But that tail does add a lot of mass to his behind the booty area. But anyway, Wheelie does not just rest on there easily. One, he's got these split legs, but he actually does. There's a couple little pegs here on either side that fit in these little slots on the legs. And the instructions just show, you saw on this last page, the instructions just show you to just sit him on his shoulder or sit him on his back. And it's a little bit more involved in that. You kind of have to come around one side, tab this in, and then work this other one down and around. And then you can adjust Wheelie up here at the waist, lift his arm up. Because his arms are on ball joints, this arm can come up. I'm not sure what exactly he's supposed to be doing with that arm, but he does have a come this way type of face. I guess it's supposed to. Okay. I guess it's supposed to look like he's drawing his. There we go, drawing a slingshot. So you can do that. But like I said, he locks in, and there's also there's a kind of angled tab here on his thigh that looks like, if you get it lined up right, maybe if you want him to sit a little closer, it should sit in this little slot on Grimlock's neck, but I haven't been able to make that line up on both sides with both legs pegged in consistently or easily. So it's there, I guess maybe if you want to, and you can if you want to forego those pegs and he's sitting a little back, you can kind of get it to clip on to some, I guess not that angle. There was an angle I had it at where you could get him to sit and have part of his leg actually clip into that slot. But that's for more of an angled forward Grimlock there. You could kind of get them in there, but anyway, Wheelie himself is, like I said, not super impressive. I mean, it's not, I guess it's nice that they included him. He's got a ball joint here at the shoulder, like I said, but it's got no elbows. He's just got ball joints at the shoulder. His little slingshot is actually a separate piece on a peg. His head's on a ball joint, and his hips are on ball joints, but again, has no knees. So there's also there's this little, looks like there may be a peg hole there, but I'm not entirely sure. His foot can't get in there. I'm not entirely sure if that's supposed to be an intentional peg hole or just a design choice. So whatever. I think it's supposed to just evoke this on the outside, but hollow because that's how they do. Anyway, but you can get him to stand if you want in kind of a hunched, I need to poo in the woods pose. But yeah, he is not a transformer. He's a little accessory for Grimlock, and that's fine. I don't know that I needed it, but it's fine that they included it. The slag apparently comes with Daniel, and there's talk that maybe Daniel is just they just throw in that little spike figure from that buzzworthy Bumblebee thing, which seems to me a little, but if that, I'd rather have that and a really articulated and fun transformation slag or sludge or slug or whatever they're going to call, not sludge, slug, whatever they're going to call him, than have like an even different articulated Daniel. We'll see. But here's Grimlock by himself. His gun stores back here. You can pop that off. There's a couple little tabs that tab right into these slots like that. But otherwise, he's got the ratcheting hips here. He's got that. He's also got some, I mean, these are his arms, just like just about every iteration of Grimlock. So he's got a thigh swivel, although that's mostly his bicep swivel. You can bend his legs backwards like that, but that's weird. That's elbow. That's robot elbow, and that's dinosaur knee. His claws, like I said, this claw comes up enough to make him unstably backwards, and they can fold forward for still, to me, unknown reasons. But, yeah. His jaw opens. He does have a turnable neck. He's got a ball joint there at his shoulder and a hinge at his elbow. And his tail doesn't wag or move or anything. But there he is. Now, if you want a little bit of an upgrade, and you picked him up at the time, you can have Takara and Hasbro, the Titans, US Titans Return Wheelies, come up. They actually have the articulation to kind of sit up here on Grimlock if you want. It takes he's so wide, you gotta kind of work to get it to stay. And also it helps if he's tilted forward just a smidge. If you can get him in that forward leaning pose, it's easier to get Wheelie to sit on top of him when you're not pegging him in. Come on, there we go. Then you can have Wheelie sit there. I think this is the Takara version. Okay, Wheelie, you're making me look like a fool, which, I mean, I guess is your job in the Transformers universe, but there we go. Except for Spotlight Wheelie. Spotlight Wheelie is a Wheelie who just gets it done, as they say. There we go. So there's Takara Wheelie sitting on Grimlock. And I just throw him on there because he's a fully Transformer. That's appropriate terminology. I know my words. I word good. And then here is the Hasbro version with the that's the slingshot from the Jazz repaint they did. Like I trimmed the peg off and gave it to him as his slingshot. But the same kind of thing depending on which Wheelie you want. Sitting on him. Come on, you can do it. Everybody else did. There you go. Good enough. No! I had it and then I lost it. Oh, flew too close to the sun there, Icarus. Come on. Bring your head forward. There we go. It's awkward, but he's up there. Anyway, we spent enough time on flippin' Wheelie. Let's get to Grimlock, the Dino King of Chicago. Anyway, transform him. Come up here. You can start in a lot of different places, but you unget his feet here, and then unpeg his tail pieces and open them up. Bring his knees around. You can see there's some more robust than jazz clips, although I find they don't stick as solidly as you would expect, but they do stick. So take this. This comes down on this oddly red piece. I feel like they could have made that this color or this color, and either one would have been fine. But anyway, there's a lot of red plastic in there that I don't even know that they needed for joints, whatever. But then you bring the legs down, and as they come around, they'll slide out a little bit on that post in there, and then snap into place. Now again, a little bit more robust than jazz, but it doesn't take a whole lot of, depending on where you move the leg, you want to grab it more by the knee to move it without popping that off of that tab. And then the tail folds around like that, and then the heel piece folds up, pegs in, like, I guess it doesn't like peg in, but it sits around this little post right there. And same on this side. There are his legs. There you go. There he is. He's a short robot. No, I'm just kidding. And come up here, his head. I mean, it's the Grimlock transformation sequence. If you've transformed pretty much any Grimlock, you know what we're doing here. His head comes down. There's a pegs into there. Fold his head down flat. It'll snap into place like that. Open up the wings, which are on hinges, so you can angle them and kind of store the arms however you want on the back. You can fold them down. You can fold them up. Whatever you want to do. Whatever looks good to you. Just a happy little dino arm there on his wings. Happy little wings. And then you pop his head up, and then bring this back down again. Deep, 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 deep. And then pull his chest up. And you can see where those little pieces slot in. Tab it in. Bring his arms down. And then unlock the robot elbow. And then flip his fists out. Although you may need to push on this side to get it to really start going, and then click it into place. This hand especially really locks into place, and it gives me trouble sometimes going back to Dino mode. Now, here's when I was talking about those gold claws earlier. I never understood why they didn't make Grimlock's claws fold back more than this. You know, just to kind of fold up onto the arm, because they fold down, and there's no point for that in dinosaur mode, and all it does is obscure his hand. I guess if you want to like flip his hand in and give him like a little dino claw weapon, but there's no reason ever for that to really happen. I don't know what that's all about. I do wish his this smoky chest plate were more clear, at least more see-through, because he does have a nicely sculpted and painted Autobot symbol under there that gets lost under that really dark plastic. I feel like that was maybe intended to be either completely clear or more transparent than it is. Blue eyes. So he's got a ball-jointed head, dual hinge shoulders, bicep swivel, hinge elbow. He does have a wrist swivel, which is nice. Got a waist swivel here. Got dual direction hips, thigh swivel, 90-degree knee, and he does have ankle tilt there, the way that works. But a pretty fun little Grimlock. An improvement over the Combiner Wars. But was it Combiner Wars? No, it wasn't. It was Power of the Primes. I don't know. The Dinobots. And he comes with his gun. He does not come with a sword, sadly. But I feel like you could use a lot of different swords, and somebody's probably going to rectify that. But there he is, and here he is now with his friend Wheelie in his hunchy robot mode. If you want to display one of the other Wheelies with him, these guys do look nice. Maybe a little on the large side in comparison to Big Beefy Grimlock, but I think either one of them would look okay with him. Just smack the camera. We do that. Camera's been bad, showing off all these things. Here he is with the old MP Grimlock. Just because I knew where he was on the shelf and figured I'd show that off together. Not much smaller and significantly cheaper. If I recall, I can't remember what he originally retailed for. Probably not leader class prices, but cheaper than some of the current Masterpiece figures that are coming out. 150, 125, I don't remember. Here he is. No, that's not him. Here we go. With Earthrise Prime, significantly beefier. And we'll go ahead and leave Prime in the shot. And we'll bring out his fellow Studio Series 86 movie guys. Well, I guess Hot Rod technically a Voyager, but we've had that discussion already. So there he is with Hot Rod, Cup, Blur, and just because, since we already had him out anyway, with Jazz. Like I said, Slag has already been hinted at. I've heard that we're apparently are going to get all 5 Dinobots in this properly scaled, like Leader and Voyager class Dinobots. So fingers crossed for that. Certainly for the movie, you could get 4 of them. It's like Snarl technically showed up for like 5 seconds total in the movie, and I swear to God, if they don't make Snarl, we riot. But we'll see how that turns out. Go ahead and move them out of the way here for the time being. And then, real quick, also, Wheelie on this leg has a little peg, and there's peg holes on either of Grimlock's shoulders. So in robot mode, you can have Wheelie sit securely on Grimlock's shoulder in robot mode as well. Which is, again, he's not a full-on Transformer. He's just an accessory for Grimlock, but all in all, not horrible. If you just want to pose, you can store it's stored somewhere. Hold on, let me look real quick, because I know the gun can store in robot mode, and I've forgotten exactly how it pegs in, because I only used it once. Clips on to, where is that showing it clipping on to? Around the dinosaur limb? Huh. Oh, yeah, it does. It's got a curve there. It clips onto his dino limb. So you can store his gun on his back by clipping it onto his arm. Maybe I didn't use that already. I could have sworn I plugged that in. Oh, you know what? I take that back. I did not plug it in there. I plugged it in right here. There's a little peg hole on his back of his neck. And it doesn't fit perfectly, which is going to be my complaint. But there is a peg hole right there. You can kind of get that to sit in there. I had it on straight one time. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's Grimlock. He's cool. Check him out. Studio Series 86.